Monday mornings in Pine Hollow were usually predictable. The courthouse lawn filled with reporters. The little diner across the street sold twice as much coffee as usual. Lawyers hurried across Main Street carrying briefcases instead of umbrellas. And by 9 o'clock, nearly everyone in town had chosen a side. Some believed Travis Monroe was a respected businessman, being unfairly blamed for a tragic accident. Others believed he was responsible for cutting corners that cost a little boy his life. I wasn't interested in choosing sides. I was going there to tell the truth. That should have been the easiest part. Instead, it almost got me killed. My name is Franklin Mercer. I'm 74 years old. For 46 years, I taught high school automotive mechanics. People trusted me because I had a habit that annoyed almost everyone. I never signed my name to something unless I knew it was true. That habit followed me into retirement. It also destroyed my relationship with my daughter. Her name is Lauren. If you'd met her 20 years ago, you would have liked her immediately. She volunteered at animal shelters, baked birthday cakes for neighbors, never forgot Mother's Day. She had the kind of smile that made people believe she could never lie. Maybe that's why no one questioned her when she married Travis Monroe. He looked successful, spoke confidently, always knew exactly what people wanted to hear. I noticed something different. Every conversation with him felt like a sales pitch. Even compliments sounded rehearsed. Whenever he shook your hand, it felt like he was measuring what you were worth. The accident happened 7 months before the trial. A sightseeing bridge overlooking Carson River collapsed during a holiday festival. Families had gathered there to watch fireworks. When the wooden railing gave way, dozens of people fell into the freezing water below. Most survived. One little girl didn't. She was only 9 years old. The entire state mourned her. Television stations blamed aging infrastructure. Local officials blamed unusually heavy crowds. Then the State Engineering Board released its report. The bridge hadn't failed because it was old. It failed because someone secretly replaced certified steel anchor bolts with cheaper imported hardware during renovations. The contractor responsible for approving those materials was Travis Monroe. 2 detectives visited me less than a week later. At first, I couldn't understand why. I'd never worked on the bridge. I'd never even visited the construction site. Then one detective placed a cardboard evidence box on my kitchen table. Inside were dozens of invoices, purchase orders, inspection reports, material certifications. One document immediately caught my attention. The bolt numbers didn't match. Another page listed different suppliers for the exact same shipment. Someone had changed the paperwork after the installation. The younger detective looked at me. "Can you explain it?" I nodded. "Someone altered these records." "You sound certain." "I am. I spent 4 decades teaching students how to read manufacturing codes. These documents were never supposed to match. That was the first time Travis's name became part of my life." 3 nights later, Lauren showed up at my house carrying homemade chicken soup. She hadn't cooked for me in years. "Dade, you've lost weight. I've lost patience," she laughed. I missed that stubborn personality. We ate dinner together, talked about old neighbors, my grandchildren, the weather. Not once did she mention Travis. When she left, she hugged me longer than usual. Looking back, it felt less like affection, more like guilt. 2 weeks before the trial, the district attorney called. "I need one favor." "What is it?" "We'd like you to explain those invoices to the jury." "That's all. That's enough." He wasn't exaggerating. Those records connected Travis directly to the illegal substitutions. Without them, the prosecution's case became much weaker. Lauren visited again the following Sunday. This time she skipped dinner. She didn't sit down. She stood in my living room holding her purse with both hands. "Dad, I need you to remember something." "What?" "People make mistakes. They do. They deserve second chances. They do." She smiled with relief. Then she added, "So when they ask about those invoices, tell them you aren't completely sure." The room became very quiet. I looked at my daughter for a long moment. "Lauren, yes, if I lie, a little girl's parents spend the rest of their lives believing nobody was responsible." Her smile disappeared. "You don't know Travis like I do." "No, I know numbers. And numbers don't cry when they're caught." She stared at me. "So that's your answer?" "It is." She slowly nodded. "I was hoping you'd choose your family." I quietly answered, "I already am." She walked toward the door. Halfway there, she stopped. Without turning around, she said, "Then don't expect us to forgive you after tomorrow." The front door closed so softly, it somehow sounded louder than if she'd slammed it. I hardly slept that night. Around 6 the next morning, I gathered my court papers, locked the front door, and climbed into my old silver sedan. Rain had fallen before sunrise. The roads were still damp. I fastened my seatbelt, started the engine, and glanced at the small dashcam mounted beneath the rearview mirror. My grandson installed it after insisting every older driver should have one. I smiled. Hope I never need you. The camera's tiny blue light blinked, recording. I backed out of the driveway. About 15 minutes later, a massive white tow truck appeared in my rearview mirror. At first, I ignored it. There wasn't another vehicle on the road for miles. It made sense we'd be traveling the same direction. Then I slowed to let it pass. It slowed too. I sped up. It matched my speed exactly. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. I reached for my phone. Before I could unlock it, the screen lit up. Lauren. I answered using the hands-free button. Her voice was unusually calm. Dade, you still have time? For what? Turn around? I'm going to court. No. You're going to make the biggest mistake of your life. The only mistake would be lying. She sighed. I really hoped you wouldn't force me into this. A cold chill ran through me. Force you into what? For several seconds, she didn't answer. Then I heard another voice in the background. A man I recognized instantly. Travis. Is he almost there? Lauren quietly laughed. Then she spoke one sentence I'll never forget. Truth doesn't float. She paused. Neither will you. The call disconnected. In that exact moment, the tow truck behind me switched on its flashing amber lights on and accelerated straight toward my rear bumper. The impact never came. At least, not the way I expected. The tow truck stopped inches behind my bumper. Its amber lights flashed across my rearview mirror like warning beacons. I pulled onto the shoulder. For a brief moment, I actually believed the driver might be trying to help me. Maybe my brake lights weren't working. Maybe he'd seen something wrong with my tires. Then the driver's door opened. A broad-shouldered man climbed down wearing a faded orange safety vest. He didn't carry a clipboard. He didn't wave. He simply walked toward my window with both hands in his jacket pockets. I lowered the glass halfway. Can I help you? He looked uncomfortable. Franklin Mercer. Yes, I've been told your car has mechanical problems. It doesn't. You need to step out. I smiled politely. I think you've got the wrong vehicle. He looked past me toward the empty road, then leaned closer. Please, just get out. His voice wasn't threatening. It sounded nervous, like someone repeating instructions they didn't fully believe. I shook my head. I'm on my way to court. His jaw tightened. So I heard. Before I could answer, his phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen. Whoever was calling had saved no name, only a number. He answered without stepping away.
Yeah.
A pause. No, has still inside. Another pause. Then the man's face changed. He slowly looked at me. I understand. He ended the call without another word. He turned around and walked back to the tow truck. Something wasn't right. Not even close. I reached for my phone. No signal. That made no sense. River Hollow Road always had coverage. I restarted the phone. Still nothing. As I looked around, I noticed something I'd completely missed. The road ahead had been blocked. Orange construction barrels. A temporary detour sign pointed toward an old gravel road running beside the Carson River. I'd driven these roads for 40 years. There had never been construction here. Not once. The detour sign looked brand new. Too new. Almost as though someone had placed it there that morning. I checked my watch. The trial started in 40 minutes. I had no choice but to follow the detour. The gravel road narrowed quickly. Trees grew thick on both sides. The river appeared through gaps in the branches. Dark, fast. Higher than normal after several days of rain. I didn't like any of it. In my mirror, the tow truck followed, always the same distance behind me, never closer, never farther away, waiting. Another call appeared on my dashboard screen. This time, my grandson, Ethan. I answered immediately. Grandpa, you sound out of breath. I've been trying to reach you for 15 minutes. I lost service. Listen carefully. His voice was shaking. I just left the courthouse. What are you talking about? I overheard Mom. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. What did she say? I wasn't supposed to hear it. Tell me. I heard Mom telling Travis. Once Dad misses his testimony, the prosecutor's case falls apart. My heartbeat quickened. Ethan continued. Then Travis asked, what if he gets there anyway? I swallowed hard. Mom smiled. I saw her. She said, he won't. Silence filled the car. Then Ethan whispered, Grandpa, I think they're trying to stop you. I know. No. His voice cracked. I think they're trying to kill you. Before I could answer, a loud metallic crash exploded behind me. I looked in the mirror. The tow truck had accelerated. Not toward me, toward the rear of my car. The steel bumper slammed into my trunk. My sedan lurched forward. Gravel sprayed across the windshield. I fought the steering wheel. The tires slid toward the edge of the road. I barely recovered. The tow truck backed away, then hit me again harder. This wasn't road rage. It wasn't an accident. He was trying to force me somewhere. I glanced left. The river now ran only a few feet below the narrow embankment. One good hit, and my car would disappear beneath the current. My phone rang again. "Lauren," I answered. "Why?" She sounded almost bored. "Because you left me no choice. You always had a choice. You could have protected your family." "I am protecting one." She laughed. "No, you're protecting strangers. I'd rather stand beside the truth than beside a murderer." Her voice turned cold. "You still think this is about Travis? What else would it be?" "It stopped being about Travis months ago." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she quietly asked, "Did you ever wonder why Travis suddenly wanted that bridge contract?" I frowned. He didn't. He wanted the land. What land? The riverfront property beside the bridge. I looked through the windshield. The gravel road curved sharply. Beyond it, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Heavy bulldozers, survey markers, fresh excavation equipment. A huge sign stood beside the riverbank. "Future site of Monroe Riverside Estates, 28 acres, coming soon." Everything suddenly fit together. The bridge project, the fake invoices, the trial, the pressure to lie. This had never been about saving Travis from prison alone. If he were convicted, the development project would collapse. The investors would walk away. Insurance companies would sue. Millions of dollars would disappear. Lauren spoke again. "You always taught me to finish what I started." I gripped the steering wheel. "I taught you to finish honest work." Another impact, even harder. The back window shattered. Glass exploded across the seats. The sedan fishtailed violently. The gravel road ended. There was no bridge, no barricade, only open river. The tow truck engine roared behind me. Then I heard the driver shouting through his open window, "I'm sorry. I didn't know there was someone inside the car." And at that exact moment, the tow cable dropped from beneath his truck. The words hit me harder than the second collision. "I'm sorry. I didn't know there was someone inside the car." For the first time that morning, I realized the tow truck driver wasn't the one in charge. He'd been hired, used, and now he understood exactly what kind of job he'd accepted. The steel tow cable swung loose beneath his truck as he slammed on the brakes. My sedan kept sliding across the wet gravel, straight toward the river. I yanked the steering wheel with everything I had. The front tires caught the muddy shoulder. The rear tires didn't. The back half of the car swung sideways until my driver's door faced the rushing water below. The engine stalled. Silence. For one terrifying second, everything stopped. Then the muddy ground beneath my left wheels gave way. The car tilted sharply. The tow truck driver jumped from his cab before his truck had completely stopped. He ran toward me, waving both hands. "Don't move! I'll pull you back!" He grabbed the loose tow cable and sprinted toward my bumper. I rolled down the window just enough to shout, "Who hired you?" He froze. Fear covered his face. "Who hired you?" He looked over his shoulder as though expecting someone to appear, then quietly answered, "What woman?" "I never met her. Everything was done over the phone. Cash payment. Double rate." "What did she tell you?" His voice shook. "She said the car would be empty. She said it had rolled away after a breakdown." My jaw tightened. "And you believed her?" "I did." His eyes filled with regret. "Until I saw you behind the wheel." He hooked the cable onto my rear axle. The winch motor screamed as it tightened. For a moment, the car stopped sliding. Hope returned. Then another engine echoed through the trees. A black luxury SUV appeared at the end of the gravel road. It wasn't speeding. It wasn't hiding. It slowly rolled toward us as though arriving exactly on schedule. When it stopped, Lauren stepped out. Travis climbed out beside her. Neither of them looked surprised to see my car hanging over the riverbank, almost as if they'd expected to find it there. The tow truck driver looked at them. His face immediately turned pale. "That's her," he whispered it, almost to himself. "That's the woman." Lauren ignored him completely. Instead, she looked at me. "Dada, I told you to go home. I told you I'd rather die than lie." She smiled. "Looks like you might get your wish." The tow truck driver stared at her. "You said nobody would be inside." Lauren finally looked at him. "And You lied to me. No, I simply didn't tell you everything. Travis stepped forward. His expensive shoes sank into the mud. This has gone far enough. He looked directly at me. Tell the prosecutor your memory isn't reliable. I can't. You can. I won't. He sighed impatiently. You still don't understand. Then explain it. He glanced toward Lauren. She slowly nodded. Travis looked back at me. The bridge project wasn't the money. It was the beginning. What does that mean? The county already approved 3 more developments. If I'm convicted today, every contract disappears. A very investor walks. The banks demand repayment. He smiled coldly. And your daughter loses everything. Lauren folded her arms. So do your grandchildren. I looked at her. No. They lose a father who chose greed over innocent lives. The tow truck driver suddenly spoke. I'm done. He unhooked the cable from his truck. I'm calling the police. Travis stepped between him and the driver's door. No, I didn't agree to murder. You weren't asked. I won't be part of this. Travis reached inside his jacket. For one terrifying moment, I thought he was reaching for a gun. Instead, he pulled out a thick envelope. Cash, hundreds. He shoved it toward the driver. Take it. Forget today happened. The driver didn't even look at it. My grandson's 8 years old. His voice cracked. Someone had done this to him. He threw the envelope into the mud. I'm finished. Lauren's face changed. The calm smile disappeared. For the first time all morning, she looked desperate. She walked to the edge of my car. The river roared beneath us. She bent down until we were almost face to face through the open window. You've always loved proving people wrong. I raised you to tell the truth. No, you raised me to lose. She leaned even closer. You know what I remember most about growing up? I said nothing. You missed my dance recital because you stayed late helping another family. You missed my graduation dinner because someone's engine broke down. You always chose strangers. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And today, you're choosing them again. I quietly answered, I never chose strangers. I chose what was right. She stared at me for several seconds, then stepped backward. Without looking away from me, she reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, pressed one button, and smiled. Almost instantly, 3 more heavy tow trucks emerged from the tree line behind her. They weren't there to rescue me. They were there to finish what the first driver refused to do. The 3 tow trucks rolled forward one after another, slowly, deliberately, like they had rehearsed exactly where to stop. The first driver stepped backward in disbelief. What are they doing? Lauren slipped her phone back into her purse, making sure this doesn't become a problem. One of the newly arrived drivers climbed down from his truck. He looked around, then looked at my sedan hanging over the river. His smile disappeared. There's somebody inside. Lauren answered without the slightest hesitation. Not for long. He froze. I didn't sign up for this. Travis pointed toward the thick envelope lying in the mud. You signed up the moment you accepted the money. The man looked from Travis to me, then quietly walked back toward his truck. Instead of climbing inside, he pulled out his phone. Lauren immediately noticed. What are you doing? He didn't answer. He simply pressed 3 numbers. 911. The first tow truck driver looked at him. I already called. The second driver nodded. So did I. A third voice came from behind another truck. May 2. Lauren's confident expression cracked. She hadn't hired murderers. She'd hired working men. And the moment they understood what she'd planned, they stopped working for her. Travis exploded. You idiots! You'll lose your licenses. The first driver slowly shook his head. I'd rather lose my license than my soul. For several seconds, nobody moved. Only the river kept rushing below. Then, police sirens echoed somewhere in the distance. Lauren heard them too. Her face turned toward Travis. You said nobody would find out. They won't. We're leaving. He grabbed her arm. She pulled away. What about him? Travis looked directly at my car, then toward the unstable riverbank. He won't survive long enough to talk. Those were the last calm words he ever spoke. The first tow truck driver suddenly sprinted toward his truck. What are you doing? Travis shouted. The driver ignored him. He climbed into the cab, started the engine, extended the heavy recovery boom, then drove straight toward my car. Not to push it, to save it. The steel winch cable flew through the air. Another driver caught the hook. Together they secured it around my front suspension. Franklin, the driver shouted through the rain. When I pull, turn your steering wheel toward me. I nodded. The winch screamed, the cable tightened. Mud crumbled beneath my tires. For one terrifying second, nothing happened. Then, The sedan moved, only an inch, but it moved uphill. The drivers kept pulling, slowly, patiently, until all four tires rested on solid ground. I opened the driver's door with shaking hands. The moment I stepped outside, my knees gave out. The first driver caught me before I hit the ground. "I'm sorry." He repeated it over and over. "I'm so sorry." I looked at him. "You didn't know." He lowered his head. "I should have asked more questions." "You ask them now." The sound of sirens grew louder. Within moments, county deputies surrounded the entire area. Lauren grabbed Travis's arm. "We have to go." He ran toward the SUV. He never reached it. A deputy tackled him before he reached the driver's door. Lauren tried running the opposite direction. She slipped in the mud and fell beside the riverbank. Another deputy immediately placed her in handcuffs. She stared at me while rain soaked her face. "I did this for my family." I slowly walked toward her. "No, you did this because you stopped believing other families mattered." She looked away. For the first time, she had nothing to say. 2 days later, I testified exactly as planned. The courtroom was completely silent as I described the altered invoices, the bridge, the shortcuts, the conversations Travis thought nobody remembered. Then the prosecutor played the recovered dashcam footage. The jury watched every second. Lauren's phone call, the tow truck chasing my car, the first impact, the second impact, the shattered back window, even Travis's face as he stood beside the river. When the recording ended, no one in the courtroom spoke. They didn't need to. The truth had spoken for all of us. 3 hours later, the jury returned, guilty on every count: construction fraud, criminal negligence, conspiracy, attempted murder. Lauren was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, witness tampering, and solicitation. Both received lengthy prison sentences. Neither appealed. The dashcam had destroyed every lie they tried to tell. 6 months later, the bridge had been rebuilt. This time using the proper materials. A bronze plaque stood near the entrance. It wasn't dedicated to politicians or contractors. It simply read, "In memory of those whose lives demanded the truth." I visited that bridge every spring. Not because I enjoyed remembering what happened, because I never wanted to forget why telling the truth mattered. One afternoon, Ethan joined me. He leaned against the new railing and asked, "Grandpa, was it worth losing your daughter?" I stood quietly for a long time before answering. I lost my daughter long before that river. What I refused to lose was the man she expected me to stop being. The water flowed peacefully beneath the bridge. This time, it carried away nothing except the memory of the lies that almost drowned with me.